The offensive coordinator search continues for your Seattle Seahawks. Welcome in to this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. On today's show, we are going to break down the top 3 offensive coordinator candidates for your Seattle Seahawks, and I will rank them 1 through 3 based on how I feel personally the 3 candidates compare to one another and kind of dissect them piece by piece. We'll dive into all that and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, a little survey for the 12s out there. I want to know, because we have new viewers all the time here on Seahawks Today, so every once in a while we got to gauge the audience here. How long have you been a Seahawk fan? If you've been a Seahawk fan for 5 years or more, go ahead and like today's video. If not, comment and tell me how long you've been a Seahawk fan. We got new people joining us all the time. Producer Cullen today is a Seahawks fan. His first time working with us here on the channel, so welcome to Cullen. But, yeah, show us some love. Let me know one way or the other how long you've been a fan. We'll get started with today's show. So this feels like this is down to 3 potential candidates at this point in time. And I won't tell you the names just yet because that's what we call a tease in the biz. But you get the idea. I'll say this much, that I could go to sleep at night feeling happy and okay with any of these 3 candidates. There is one I like more than the others. I'll say that much. But this direction that Mike Macdonald appears to be headed, of the people that he's talked to and the favorites for this position, it's not like you're going to be terribly upset if one gets the job over the other based on the way this is going. Now, I know a lot of you have talked about Eric Bieniemy, and if you know me, you know I'm a big Eric Bieniemy fan. I've been a big supporter of his since his days back in Kansas City, and I think he'd do a fantastic job with the Seattle Seahawks team. But all indications and what we've heard about this position is that there is no interest, as of now, for the Seattle Seahawks with Eric Bieniemy. Despite him being out there, not being retained by the Washington Commanders, it does not seem to be the case. Now, the key word here is those final 2 words, for now. All this is relative. Things could change and move pretty quickly here. But at least at the moment, anyway, Eric Bieniemy is not a candidate for this Seahawks offensive coordinator position. With that said, let's rank them 1 through 3. Let's start with Chip Kelly. I think he is the front runner, the odds-on favorite right now to be the next offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. And this is one that has, as the words of Ron Burgundy once said, escalated quickly. Because you look at where this all happened with Chip Kelly. You go back to November when he was almost fired by UCLA. Ends up keeping his job after beating SC. Then he goes on this rant before the Las Vegas Bowl or the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, whatever it was, saying how upset he was about the state of college football and NIL and the transfer portal and all this. And it kind of made it pretty clear that Chip Kelly wasn't happy with the state of the sport and that he was potentially looking for an exit door of sorts. Now, you fast forward to, we heard Dan Quinn was a possible connection of sorts, that he would tape Chip Kelly with him. That ultimately didn't work out. We did hear that John Schneider really liked Chip Kelly. And for me, he's my number 1 choice because he's an experienced play caller. He's an innovator, and he has been successful, I think, offensively everywhere he's been, all the way back to his days with the Oregon Ducks, even the Philadelphia Eagles' tenure as head coach. The offenses look good initially. Now, other things got in the way, of course, but even now, you look at what he's doing at UCLA, this offense has changed. We all remember the days when he was at the Oregon Ducks, and they ran this up-tempo offense. And, what they did back in the day with the likes of Jeremiah Masoli and Marcus Mariota and others, I mean, it was just awesome what they were doing week in and week out. It was very innovative, right? And it was a no-huddle offense. They ran as quick as they can. Now the offense has changed, and there's an emphasis on attacking the middle of the field. But what we've seen from Chip Kelly do is the offense has become complementary, where they aren't always trying to run as fast as they possibly can, that they will try to help out their defense. So for me, Chip Kelly has come a long ways from what he was doing previously. And you look at the Seahawks team, the way that they're built with this backfield with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, The identity needs to be a run-first team as long as Geno Smith's there. Chip Kelly makes a ton of sense for me as far as that goes. And the familiarity, we heard Jake Bobo and Zach Charbonnet, who he coached at UCLA, speak nothing but glowingly about Chip Kelly and said they loved playing for him. We know that he recruited Geno Smith all the way when he was back with the Oregon Ducks many years ago. Geno, of course, went on to West Virginia, so I like the idea. What do you guys think? Should the Seahawks hire Chip Kelly to be their next offensive coordinator? It's our pinned comment today. What do you think? Type HY for hell yes. HN for hell no. Let me know what you think. If Chip Kelly should be the next signal caller for Seattle. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time, the place to go for the best seats for the lowest prices guaranteed when you're looking for tickets for sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more. Game Time has got you covered. And here's the deal. We tell you about this all the time with Game Time, that you save $20 off your first purchase when you use the promo code Seahawks Chat. It's a great deal, right? Well, we are upping the ante a little bit this week as the big game is coming up in Vegas this weekend. We are offering you $100 off for tickets to the big game when you use the promo code Vegas100. So download Game Time today. Pick out the event you want to go to. Choose your seat. See if you like the seat or not. And then you can check out within just a matter of moments on Game Time. Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. And I got to tell you, it's so awesome. If you're planning to head to Vegas to go see that Chiefs-Niners game, you can use both promo codes. You can save $100 with that promo code Vegas100. And then if you're a first-time user, use the Seahawks Chat promo code for $20 off, and you're saving $120 on tickets to the big game. Download Game Time today. Terms and conditions do apply. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of Seahawks Today. We appreciate them for sponsoring today's video. Number 2 on our list is Ryan Grubb, who is very familiar to the Seattle area, the former offensive coordinator of the Washington Huskies, now with the Alabama Crimson Tide, following Kalen DeBoer from Washington to Alabama. And we heard recently, within the last couple days, Ryan Grubb come out adamantly saying, I am the Alabama offensive coordinator. Sure, whatever. Some of you are going to say, well, he's already spoken and said that he's the Alabama offensive coordinator. Well, every time I hear that analogy, I think back to, remember when Nick Saban told us he wasn't going to be the Alabama head coach many years ago? Who cares what he actually says? Money talks. That's what really matters here. And the truth of the matter, the Seahawks OC job is better than being the leftovers in Tuscaloosa after Nick Saban left. Okay? If we're going to be frank and honest with you. Not only have we talked about Chip Kelly leaving a Big Ten head coaching job potentially to be the Seahawks OC, I can tell you right now, I'd much rather be the Seahawks OC than the Alabama OC with all the mess that was left behind after Nick Saban left. So, with that said, if the Seahawks really want Ryan Grubb, they can have Ryan Grubb. What I think personally is that Ryan Grubb probably didn't interview that well, and we've heard some rumblings about that Mike Macdonald and company may have had some hesitation about Ryan Grubb, and that's why they potentially looked at Chip Kelly and some of their other potential options here. Comes from an air raid scheme. Heavy emphasis on the shotgun. They still run the ball well. Dylan Johnson had over 1,000 yards rushing for Washington last year. So don't give me all this BS about, air raid, you don't run the football. Yes, you do. The offense has evolved. It's changed. It's not what Texas Tech ran, 15 years ago. It's changed over time. Ryan Grubb could do a good job. Probably still has his house in Seattle. I think he'd be a good fit. We heard Mike Macdonald say that he's not overly concerned about coordinators not having NFL experience. You can learn on the job and all that. Ryan Grubb, I think, is kind of the second or potentially third option here. I think he's still in play. If the Seahawks really want him, they could probably still grab him. What's your confidence level in the Seattle Seahawks offense in 2024? Look, we know this team's got weapons. That's no secret. DK and Lockett, JSN, and Walker and Charbonnet, and whoever's going to be a quarterback, Geno, or that's a whole other story. Well, how are you feeling about this group? Just getting Shane Waldron out of there makes me feel better. And I like these coordinator options, so I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. I go with at least a 7 right now. What's your confidence level in the Seahawks offense in 2024? Scale it for me in the comment section 1 through 10 and let us know. Last on our list is Tanner Engstrand, the passing game coordinator for the Detroit Lions. And what we heard about Engstrand compared to Ryan Grubb, similar rumblings that he didn't necessarily interview that well, but it doesn't mean that he's completely out of it. Now, one thing, a disadvantage that Tanner has compared to the other two is that he's never called plays at an NFL or college level. He did in the XFL for the love of football, but never at the NFL or college level. So it's kind of the biggest wild card option of these three potential candidates here. But he comes from a very good pedigree. That Lions offense, what Jared Goff has done, working with Ben Johnson, who, of course, interviewed for the Seahawks head coaching job, speaks for itself. I mean, they were tremendous the last couple of seasons, including this year, go to the NFC Championship game. His scheme, much different than the other two. The other two offenses, what Chip Kelly has and what Ryan Grubb has, spread you out, a lot of spacing, right? The Tanner Engstrand offense there in Detroit is a more pro-style West Coast offense, emphasis on two backs, multi-tight end sets. And for some Seahawks fans, that's kind of refreshing to hear of multi-tight end sets with the way Pete Carroll and Shane Waldron just completely ignored the tight end position for all those years. So that would be a nice change of scenery potentially. But I got to tell you, I like Tanner, but he's my third choice. And his offense is much different than the other two. I like with all those weapons that you have, spread them out. Try to find the weaknesses in the defense and go that route with the spread offense, the air raid style, as opposed to a more traditional pro-style West Coast scheme. But I got to tell you, I like all three guys. We'll see what Mike Macdonald does. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video. If you love your Seattle Seahawks, hit that like button. We'd certainly appreciate it. And we thank you for joining us here on this edition of Seahawks Today. We'll see you next time.